Although we've done some word problems in each of the previous note sheets, today's focus is on writing systems of equations to describe what's going on in word problems, and then using either elimination or substitution to solve. So part of our goal today will be to choose which method makes the most sense, elimination or substitution. Taking a look at number 1, it says Farmer Brown's barnyard contains 50 animals. Only pigs and chickens are allowed. All right, so before we keep reading, big difference between a pig and a chicken. A pig has 4 legs, whereas a chicken only has 2 legs. This will be important as we keep reading. There are 130 legs in the barnyard. This is referring only to the legs on the pigs and the chickens. How many pigs and how many chickens are there? All right, the question says how many pigs and how many chickens. So that's what our variables need to deal with. So I'm going to say let P equal the number of pigs and let C equal the number of chickens. Picking variables related to what they stand for makes it easier for me to keep track of what they stand for while I'm going through doing the work. All right, there are 50 animals in the barnyard, so the number of pigs plus the number of chickens must equal 50. But there's 130 legs, so that's another total. Remember, every pig has 4 legs, so 4 times the number of pigs is the number of pig legs in the barnyard. But there are 2 legs on the chicken, so the number of chickens times 2 would be the number of legs on chickens, and we know that there's 130 legs altogether. Now, anytime I see 2 equations in standard form, and only in standard form, I personally like to use elimination. It's usually the easiest option. Now, if you just love the substitution method, you can solve for one of the variables and substitute. But I'm going to show you how to do this problem with elimination, because when I have standard form, that's the method I always pick. So if I need an opposite match, it looks like a good choice would be to multiply the top equation by a -2. It's the smallest number that I can pick that will make something from the top match something from the bottom, in this case, the number of chickens. So I'm going to rewrite that top equation as -2p minus 2c equals -100, and I'll be ready to add those 2 equations together. 4p plus a -2p is positive 2p, and the 2c and the -2c eliminated each other, leaving me with 130 plus a -100, which is a positive 30. I now have this very simple equation that I can solve for p. So I divide both sides by 2, and I find out that there are 15 pigs on this farm. Going back and looking at one of my original simple equations, I can substitute 15 for p. So 15 plus c equals 50. And if I subtract 15 from each side, c is equal to 35. So we can conclude that there are 35 chickens and 15 pigs on this particular farm. And as we've consistently done with word problems, we don't write our answer as an ordered pair. Even though this is technically the point where these 2 lines meet, when the question is asked in words, we answer in words. Number 2, a school wants to publish a newsletter. Expenses are $600 for research and writing, plus 90 cents per copy for printing and mailing. They are pricing the newsletter at $1.50 per copy. How many copies must they sell to break even? Okay, so first we have to understand this concept of breaking even. In breaking even, the cost it takes to make something is equal to the revenue brought in from selling it. In other words, the money that goes out has to equal the money that comes in. So if I let y equal the total amount of dollars, the y could therefore either equal the cost or the revenue, which is going to be really helpful. X is going to be the, let's see, number of copies. Because see how it says how many copies must we sell? So I'm going to let X equal the number of copies. All right, let's write one equation that's about how much money we have to spend in order to publish this newspaper. So the total amount that we can spend is going to be $600 for research plus 90 cents times every copy we want to print and mail. Our second equation is going to be about the revenue. The total amount of money that we bring in with the revenue is going to be $1.50 times the number of copies we manage to sell. And that's it. There's nothing else that generates money in this problem. Now, when I see two equations that are both set equal to the same variable, so I see the same variable alone, I always think of substitution. That's usually the easiest method in this type of problem. Now, if you really like elimination, you can get them into standard form and work on it that way, but most kids prefer substitution in this situation. See how I have two things that are equal to y? Well, that means I can take this 150x and it can replace the y in the other problem. So that gives me 150x equals 600 plus 0.90x. Well, if I'm trying to get all my x's together, I would subtract 0.90x from each side. So $1.50 minus 90 cents is 60 cents. So I have 0.60x equals 600. If I rewrite that over here so that I have room to show my work, I can see that I need to divide both sides by 0.60, which tells me that I can make 1,000 copies. Now the question just asked, how many copies do they need to sell to break even? So they're not making any profit at the break even, but they haven't lost any money. And we can say that they need to sell 1,000 copies. If they sell fewer copies than that, they'll actually lose money. But if they sell more copies than that, they'll make a profit.